Right, here's our fish that we did in Illustrator, and we're now going to put this fish as an animation into Flash. So if you remember, we created our fish and we created 3 layers, and we sort of, each layer we made sure that we moved the fin, or we moved the mouth or the tail or whatever, so it's slightly different on each layer. That's why the fins had to be separate and the mouth had to be separate objects. So as you can see here on the layer, that's what layer 1 looks like, that's what layer 2 looks like, that's what layer 3 looks like. We want to make sure that all the layers are switched on now, because we now have to go to File, Export, give it a name. So I'll call this fish 1, and click the export button, and in my case I'm saving it to the desktop. Make sure the format here is Flash, okay, and click export, and now we have this new dialog box here. The first window that comes up, you may just see it as that first, basic. It can be basic and advanced. We need to use both. So on this one here, the first window that comes up is the basic window. Make sure that this is set to AI layers, that's Adobe Illustrator layers, to SWF frames. So that means it's going to use all the frames in the layers and change them to Flash frames. So make sure that's ticked. The rest you can more or less leave, and let's now go to the Advanced tab because we need to do something on that. And here leave this at 72, and the frame rate, it'll probably say 12 or something, or even 24 when you first come in this window. I've changed mine to 5, so it's just a kind of slow animation. And make sure looping is ticked and click OK. And that is now saved, and we're now ready to go into Flash and import that into Flash. Right, I've just opened up Flash now, ready to import this fish that I did in Illustrator. So I've just opened Flash, so I need to just get a new blank document. So create new, I'll use this top one here, Action Script 3. So click on there, and here's a blank document. Now I'm going to import the fish directly into the library so that it becomes a symbol in the library. So what we do is we go to File, Import, and we're going to import it to the library. So let's do that, and now it asks us to locate the file that we want. So I know it's called fish 1, that's mine there. So we click on there and click on import to library. Now you may think that nothing's happened, but it has, because if you now go to the library, open the library itself, because what we're looking at here is just a blank sort of scene. Okay, so go to the library, and in the library you will see fish 1, and if you just sort of select it, you'll see here a little icon, and there's a little play button there, and if you click on it, it's pretty quick, but if you can see that it's got some movement within the actual fish itself. Now this is the interesting thing. If we look at it whilst it's in the library, if you just kind of double click here, there we go, and I'm just going to close the library for a second so you can see what's going on. Now we're now in the library part of Flash. We're not in the scene, remember, we're in the library, and the way we know that is because there's a thing here that says scene 1. So we're in the library, and you'll notice we've got 3 frames here, and if you move the scrub bar along, you can see the fish moving there. So you can see that the actual fish has got some movement within it. Okay, so now let's just go back to scene 1, which at the moment has still got nothing in it. So we click on the library and then we drag in our fish. So there it is. I'll just close this library tab so we can see more of the screen. And there he is. So we're just going to sort of put him here for a second, and I'm going to create a motion tween for him to go across the stage. So let's go insert motion tween. Remember, this is 1 second's worth of movement, 24 frames, so we'll just make it about 70, so it's a bit longer, so it's about 2.5 seconds now. And then I'll move the fish over here, and at the same time I'm just going to go to the free transform tool and just kind of make him a bit smaller, so that what will happen, it'll look as though he's kind of disappearing into the distance. He goes smaller as he goes across the stage. Now let's just play that by just pressing the return key. So now you can see that he goes across and disappears. Now you might be disappointed to see, well, he's not, his fins are not moving, his mouth isn't moving or anything. Well, that's because we can't see it while we're in this normal view. But if you go to the view, where you can play test movie, which is Command or Apple return, this shows it as it actually is. So let's do that. So we press Apple or Command and then return, and now you can see the movement that is within the fish. So his mouth is moving and his fins are moving there. Okay, so I'll just close that. So that's absolutely fine. Now what I'm going to do is just start to use the layers in Flash now, and I'm going to create another fish, but seeing that we've already sort of spent time doing that one, and the other one's going to be pretty similar, so let's just create a copy of the fish that we've already got. So we can do that by just doing new layer. Okay, so this is the original one here, and this is the new one, layer 2, that we're on right now. This is layer 2. Okay, and if you hold down the Alt key and just drag layer 1 to layer 2, we now have 2 fish, but you can't see them. You can't see the second one because he's directly behind the other one. So let's do this. Let's take the bottom one here. Well, it doesn't matter which one you take. We could do the top one if you want, and just move it along a little bit, so that in actual fact the second fish that's on layer 2 moves a little bit later than the other one. Okay, and also we're going to change its position in a minute. So if we just click on make sure we're on that layer, and just kind of, I don't know, we'll move him up here. Let's say we move him up there. Okay, and let's just go to his end position, and we could actually change his end position so that, I don't know, maybe he's down there somewhere. Okay, so we go back, and now let's play it. I'm going to play it, play the movie or the test movie. So I'm going to press Apple return, and there we've got 2 fish, and they look quite nice. There you go. So we've got 2 fish swimming along there, looking really good. They're on a slightly different path, and in fact it looks quite nice because they're crossing over from each other. That's pretty good.